Hello and welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer bringing you a battle report with the Dark Elves taking on my Undead Legions. This is at one of the local game stores that I frequent, which is called Fat Moose Comics and Games in Whippany, New Jersey. And one of the guys that I know from, he apparently frequents a number of these stores, just like I do. He decided to move over from Infinity and get back into fantasy. And he is a very good painter. You can see that he's done a really good job on these Dark Elves. It's a very impressive army, but he's got a small army, and he's looking to start small. And it's probably a good time to have maybe the brakes on before he starts building this up again because of all the uncertainties about what's coming up with Ninth. But he's got an impressive army, and he decided he wanted to get on board, and he asked if anybody wanted a game, so I obliged him. So we decided to go small. This is the most of what he has in his army. He can make up probably about a 2,000 point list, but he's got about 1,500 points, mostly of witch elves and executioners and warlocks. So he's not only got the best, pretty much the top #1 best army in Warhammer right now for 8th edition, but some of the best units also. So somebody either coached him or he knows his Warhammer. So here's his army. On my right, he's got a unit of 5 warlocks. Then he's got a unit of, I think, 19 executioners and his level 4 sorceress, and then a very large block of witch elves with the cauldron. I think he has a hag, a death hag or something like that in there. And then roundabouts the rest of his army with another 5-man unit of warlocks, of brolocks. So I brought my Undead Legion's army, and I brought, it's a 1,500 point list, so it's going to be a little bit tough to fit any really, huge characters in. I know I'm going up against Dark Elves, so I know I'm going to be going up against very fast-moving units, and easily, if he's bringing the best of the best, some of the blender units that are going to just chop through my stuff. So I figured I needed to bring some variety. I needed to bring with the Undead Legions a number of different things, some things to capture his attention, to distract him, and also maybe to not only fighting units but also shooting units. So I have a unit of dogs off to the left. I've got a Screaming Skull Catapult, something that maybe hopefully he'll try to pay attention to and spend time going after. A unit of 20 Skeletal Archers, try to shoot down any chaff he might have. I expected he might have Dark Riders. I figured he'd have at least 1 unit of Brolocks, but this is a good way to thin out the ranks. Especially since this entire army, as good as it is really mostly toughness 3. Then moving off I have an 8-strong unit of Crypt Horrors. They're my werewolf version Crypt Horrors. I have a Mortis Engine, so I can get that regen buff, do a little screaming, and it's also got the enhancement, the Blasphemous Tome. I wanted to be able to try and dominate the magic phase, and if I couldn't dominate the magic phase where I could shut him down, I at least wanted to make sure that I could get off my spells on my phase. So 2 units of 23 or 24 zombies. In the leftmost unit is my level 4 Master Necro, which is Lore of Vampires. And then I have a level 1 with a Dispel Scroll, also to the Lore of Vampires, just for the extra invocation. My General, which is the Master Necromancer, also has a Talisman of Preservation, just because, and also the Black Periap, which rounds out the maximum of the points that you can spend on that character. But this will allow me, if I can conserve some dice in his magic phase, I can save them for mine, and if I get off what I really want to get off in terms of spells in my magic phase, I might be able to enhance my defense with a couple additional dice in his magic phase. So I have a Spirit Host. I figured he might have a Charybdis or Hydra. I wanted to be able to stop that. He might have a Chariot. I wanted to be able to stop that. I didn't know if he'd have a lot of characters. I mean, a small point game, a Spirit Host is going to be much more valuable because it's less likely you can have a lot of characters with a lot of magical weapons. And another unit of dogs just to harass him or to try and chaff him up. So for Vanguard, he wins the roll for the first place in a Vanguard. He moves up his Brolocks as so. I counter with my dogs, moving them further off to the left. And on the right side, I'm able to pull my dogs up, which is going to limit some of his capability in terms of where he puts his Brolocks. So he just slides them off to the side. So turn 1 goes to the Dark Elves, and he moves right up as close as he can to the Spirit Host. He doesn't have any magic weapons here, so I'm not sure why he did that, but I'm expecting that he's probably going to want to try and magic off that Spirit Host. And then he moves out of my charge arc with the Brolocks on the right-hand side. So I shut down most of his magic. He throws off, I think, a couple of Doom Bolts. I think he's got 3 Doom Bolts in this list because he's got the 2 Brolocks who have their static spells, and then he's got his level 4 who also had a Doom Bolt. So I stopped, I think, 2 of the Doom Bolts with Dispel. I might have even popped my Dispel Scroll just to try and get advantage with the dice. And then he throws Soul Stealer on my main unit. And I forgot to mention I also have a Cairn Wraith in there, just as protection for my spellcasters in case there's a challenge and I wind up not being able to avoid getting into hand-to-hand. So he throws down Soul Stealer and it scatters. It scatters 6 right into his direction. That was a real big boon because I didn't have enough dice to really stop it after what he threw down. And then he gets off another Doom Bolt with his rightmost Brolocks, and he takes off about, I think, 5 of my archers, which is okay because unless he wipes them out completely, I have a good chance that I can bring them back later. So Undead Legion's turn 1, and I'm sitting in this forest here. This forest turns out to be a wildwood, which means at the end of each movement phase, I've got to roll and whatever's in there, and on a 4+, they take, I don't know, like a die 6 strength 4 hits, which that stinks. So I'm looking to move out of this thing pretty quickly. So charges, I look to try to get my Crypt Horrors in on these Executioners. I know that if I let him get the charge, he's going to wipe the floor with me either way, so I might as well try and pick and choose my battles. So if I can get these Crypt Horrors in on these Executioners, I can chaff up his Witch Elves and prevent them from helping out. I also charge with my Spirit Host into his Warlocks, and of course I think he's concerned. He was banking on trying to Doom Bolt off my Spirit Host, but since that didn't happen, now that I've got almost a default charge, he decides that he's going to flee. And in doing so, I think this was also a little bit of a mistake. He took some difficult terrain tests going through the ruins here, but what he didn't realize is that I could follow up with another charge. The flee action is rolled and completed immediately, so that gives me the opportunity, if I'm still in range, to flee with another unit that I haven't declared a charge yet. So I do so. Amazingly enough, it was good that actually he rolled fairly well with his flee because I rolled boxcars and only moved forward 6 inches with my Spirit Host, but that would have been awful if I had run down his Warlocks with my Spirit Host. So after he flees far enough certainly to avoid the Spirit Host, but not far enough to get out of the long range of my Direwolves. My Direwolves are a base 9 move, so and they're Swift Stride. So I'm rolling 3 dice with a 9. I'm just within maybe an inch of my maximum, so I'm able to declare another charge, and that automatically makes him flee again. And I'm hoping that I'll take him off the board. But he's well before running off the board. He's well within the range of staying on the board. So my Crypt Horrors make it in. I've got Lord Tremendous's dice, and they are serving me very well. I roll exceptionally well with them. It's just proving that the power of positive energy is actually working in my favor as opposed to the threat of the lighter. And I'm trying to let Anthony from the Sustainable Center understand that, because apparently his Lord Tremendous dice are failing him miserably. And as anybody who's probably seen from Lord Tremendous's channel, his dice are hot and cold, but mine seem to be very hot, so I'm riding that wave. I need a 10, I get an 11, and I get right in there, which is exactly what I was hoping to do. I was dreading the idea of maybe failing this charge, but I just had to go for broke. And I go ahead and I chaff up his Brolocks on the right-hand side with my Direwolves. I figure, he might charge them, which would be good for me because that would lock him up for a little while. But if he might also march right around them. He's fast cav. He can go right around them. He probably would pass a a march block test. But either way, I'm kind of I'm kind of screwing around with his movement, so he's not going to get in on either the archers very easily or the Screaming Skull catapult. So being that I want to try and, again, this was the plan all along, I wanted to try and chaff up those witch elves. They're frenzied, so he's going to have to test to restrain them. Otherwise, they're going to have to charge me. So I move maximum distance. I've got a good move with my Cairn Wraith to get right up there and angle it so that he can't charge in on my Crypt Horrors. So that's going to move him completely out of the arc to be able to help that out. So magic, I use both invocations from both casters to further grow my zombie blocks, and I get them up to some pretty good size. They started out in the mid-20s, low 20s. Now I'm getting at least my main block up, into the 40 range. And I'm losing a couple because I think I rolled at the end of the movement phase and I lost about 2 or 3. But here I gained, between the 2 invocations, like 15 more zombies. And I try to raise dead to even compound this even further. I wanted to get more chaff on the board. I mean, he's just too fast of an army. Dark Elves are just lightning fast, and they've got, with the fast cav, especially that they're Brolocks, not even that they're Dark Riders. I wanted to throw out some more chaff, and then I could grow that with some more invocations. But he put an end to that right away with his Dispelling. And then I was able to get off Curse of Years on his Witch Elves. I mean, this is a pretty big block of Witch Elves. He's got, what, 5 by 5. He's got 20. He's got a lot of Witch Elves. There's a lot of points in this unit. So the fact that I got Curse of Years is not going to just start thinning out the ranks a little bit, and it's going to get worse as if he lets it stay. But it's also going to be a big problem for him in the next phase, because if he wants to throw dice at it, it's going to neuter his phase. So I'm not going to have to worry about too many Doom Bolts because you have to devote some dice to try and remove it. And after all that's said and done, I was able to store still 2 dice, and that's why I love the Black Periapt. It's an awesome item. So we get to the close combat, and he starts unloading with his executioners, and he does maybe about, I think he gets off maybe about 5 or 6 wounds. I think he's got poison also on this unit, I don't remember. But I'm able to regen all of them, which is phenomenal, because when I strike back, I devote 4 of my Crypt Horrors to just to his wizard and wipe her off the board right away. Even with her ward save, she's just not able to save enough of these wounds. And then after that, the other 4 Crypt Horrors rip right through between my poisons and his. He's got a 5-up armor save only. I mean, I think it's a 6-up when you consider that I'm a strength 4, so he's got a 6-up only, and I'm doing tons of attacks, getting into lots of wounds. He's only toughness 3, so I do 7 more wounds on top of that. Now he needs Snake Eyes, and he doesn't have a BSB, so he doesn't roll it. I run him down. He breaks, and I just run him down, and this is incredible. Right off the bat, he's down his level 4 caster, and he's down a big block of his executioners. That's a whole lot of points, and he's not going to be able to countercharge with his Witch Elves on my Crypt Horrors. So things are looking pretty good right now. So Dark Elves turn 2. Of course, he's going to charge with these Witch Elves into the Cairn Wraith, and then he puts his Brolocks into the Dire Wolves. So magic, and he doesn't have a very good magic phase. I think he rolled maybe about 6 dice total, and he throws all 6 at the Curse of Years, which was a smart move. Don't take a chance of letting that continue. But then that ends his magic phase pretty much. He doesn't get anything else off. So the Warlocks just walk right through these Dire Wolves. I think he did 3 wounds. I did nothing back. I crumble. He overruns and stops right in front of the graveyard. And the fleeing Warlocks on the left side of the board rally. That's no big surprise. And I think he throws off, I think he tries to get a couple of Doom Bolts off. I think he wants to thin out. He's a little concerned about my zombies, which is not such a bad deal, but you know what? If he gets those Witch Elves on either one of these units, I think he could probably delete them in 1 turn. That's how many attacks those guys get, especially if he gets the charge. So, close combat. I focus my attacks on the Hag on top of the Cauldron. I do a wound to her, but they obviously can't do any wounds back to me because they have no magic weapons, but I die to static combat res, which is fine. I think that the Cairn Wraith did his job of redirecting. But he overruns, and he overruns really well, and he winds up running right into my Spirit Host, which is just what I didn't want to have happen, because he's probably going to, he's going to pop that Spirit Host just like he did the Cairn Wraith. So, Undead Legion's turn 2. I am well within my arc to charge with the second unit of zombies. And this is, some people might say, you've got to be crazy. I mean, even though it's going to be just 3 or 4 of these Witch Elves, they're just going to rip through those zombies. But here's the thing. I don't have any risk with any characters in this unit. I've got about 20, I've probably got about 30 zombies in this unit now. Even when I try to maximize, I think he's only going to get like 3 of his Witch Elves because it's on the flank, so he doesn't get any depth. It helps extend the life of that Spirit Host because I'm going to get some static combat res. I've got a banner to neutralize his banner. I've got a charge, a flank, and I'm disrupting his ranks. So if I could survive with enough ranks from these zombies, and if I could boost them up with some invocations, I could stick with these with the Witch Elves, which is just something I never would have thought that I would be capable of. Zombies taking on some Witch Elves, so this was kind of a risk, but I think the odds are pretty good, pretty well in my favor for it to work out well. So I tried it. And of course, it's a default charge. I make it in there, and again, he's only got 3 in my frontage that he can attack at those zombies. So I think my plan is going to work out fairly well, and I've got about another 12 zombies padded on to the original. I think I've got about 33 or 32 zombies here. And then I move up the rest of my, I move my Necromancer, the level 1 Necromancer. I think she's already popped her Dispel Scroll by now, but I move her out to get closer to those Skeleton Archers, so I can try to, increase, so I can heal them back up with some invocations. And then I move, I'm trying to get my zombies out of that wildwood, so I scooch them a little bit off to the left, and then I move the Mortis Engine through the wood and within range to do some screaming. And I reform the Crypt Horrors to face towards the middle. I don't know where his Brolocks from either side are going to go, but I'm assuming that they're probably going to try to go after either, on the right side the Archers, and on the left side they're going to try and help out the Witch Elves. And if I can get them close enough, I could probably, these guys have a 6-inch move on a base move. I can't march, I'm too far from my general. But if I get them close enough, I'm able to charge if those Witch Elves in the rear. And if I can get them into that in a rear charge, I think I can do some serious damage. So, magic phase, I use the invocation again to grow both units of zombies, which is really a big deal with the unit that's first of all stuck in there with the Witch Elves, so everything's going to plan as so far. And then I was able to get the level 1 Necromancer within 6 inches of the Skeleton Archers, so I was able to grow back 4 of the 5 losses I took from the Doombolt in the previous turn. And then I stored 2 dice. Again, I had enough. I just didn't. There wasn't really anything else for me to do, and I wanted to use those dice to save for the follow-up phase, his phase. So shooting, I unload with the Archers, 19 shots at his Brolocks, managed to take 1 off, and then drop a Screaming Skull onto the center of this unit. He's got ward saves, so he does pretty well, but he loses 1 more, and unfortunately he does pass his panic test. And then the Mortis Engine screams off 2 more of these Witch Elves, so I'm just trying to thin them out. So close combat, I was able to put the last wound on the hag that's on the cauldron, which was great. And then I think I might have done 1 or 2 wounds on the Witch Elves, but with only 3 Witch Elves, even with rerolls, I had a regen up 6 up on these the zombies. I think he did like 3 wounds, and I was able to regen 1 of them. So he doesn't do a whole lot. And I've got you can see that I've got a lot of ranks. I've got my standard that counters his standard. I've got a flank and a charge. And he's got a flank because I wasn't able to reform with that Spirit Host from the previous turn. But still, this turned out to be actually a flush. This was a tie. We both have musicians, so this is great. I couldn't believe it. My zombies were able to survive being stuck in there with Witch Elves, and probably the only scenario that would have occurred. So Dark Elves turn 3. He charges my Skeleton Archers with the remaining 3 Warlocks on the right. I can't stand and shoot because I'm skeletons. He makes it in there easily. And then he moves his warlocks on the, now I think they're now in the center of the board, all the way off to the side to threaten my crypt horrors from behind or for a flank charge. Close combat, the archers lose, but they stick after crumbling a whole bunch. And then the Hag Queen is dead. I take a couple of wounds on my Spirit Host after crumbling 2, but again, you can see I took a whole bunch of wounds on my zombies, but this is working out just fine. So Undead Legion's turn 3. I have a long charge with these direwolves to get into the flank of those warlocks, but if I can get in there, I'm going to have 4 of my dogs facing one of his warlocks. I got to figure he's probably, look, he's going to get a couple attacks. He might kill 1. I'm not going to get any rank bonus, but I'll get a flank and a charge if I can get in there. And if I can do that, if I can do any wounds at all, I'm almost sure I'm going to be able to win that combat. So I also charge with my Mortis Engine into the rear of the Witch Elves. I know I'm going to make it easily, and I'm not really concerned. I feel that if it blows up, it's a good chance that it might last 1 turn to turn 4. Even if it blows up this turn, it'll be a catastrophic explosion. But it'll be a catastrophic explosion at a strength 3. If it's next turn, it'll be strength 4, and I think that's going to do more damage to him than it is to me because he's got a toughness 3 army. And amazingly, I make it in there. Again, my Lord Tremendous dice served me very well. I roll an 11. Second time I needed a 10, and I roll an 11. So I get in there. Plan's working out great. And of course, default, I was in well easily within charge range with the Mortis Engine, so I get in there. And I move the zombies finally out of this forest, this wildwood forest. I think I've taken maybe about 6 zombie losses, which is not a lot, but still, I don't want to have to worry about it, especially if the Witch Elves wind up removing all of those units that they're in hand-to-hand combat with, because I'm going to need all the zombies I can get. And then I reform the Crypt Horrors. You know, I'm thinking that it's just a little bit too far for me to get, at least this turn, to get these Crypt Horrors close enough to get into charge range. But I figure, you know, I've got them locked up with these with my dogs, and I'm easily within just almost a default charge range with my Crypt Horrors here. Magic. I throw down a Hellish Vigor on the Mortis Engine, and this allows me to get rerolls to wound. And this is big because I got a lot of attacks that can be generated from this Mortis Engine. I've got impact hits. I've got 2d6 randomized attacks from kind of the ethereal creatures that are kind of the transport for the Bone Chariot. I've got Banshees, and I've got the Necromancer that's at the top of it. So any benefit I can get to make sure that I can actually wound these Witch Elves is only going to help me in combat. So I go and I cast another invocation or try and further pad the zombies that are in combat with the Witch Elves, and of course I roll 2 dice with a level 4 caster, and I rolled 2 6s, and here's why. I didn't use the Lord Tremendous dice. I used some of my standard basic generic dice. That's why. And of course at least I got a whole bunch of zombies, but of course from the miscast I roll a miscast 3, and I lose nearly as many zombies as I actually just raised. And then I roll for whether or not I get sucked into the warp, and yeah, I got sucked into the warp, which is awful because I had magic dominance. This is my Black Periap. This is my level 4 caster. This is all my Curse of Years, my Hellish Vigor. This is everything, you know, the extra invocation. I don't crumble because it's Undead Legions, but still, I had dominance. I killed off his level 4, and here I gifted him my level 4 to kind of even things up a little bit. So, close combat, I take out 1 Warlock, but he further thins out to just about 3 of my archers as a result after crumble. And then my dogs win this combat. He breaks by, I think it was like 2. He doesn't have a reroll, and I run him down. That was just a phenomenal. I wish I hadn't reformed the Crypt Horrors now to face the Warlocks. This was a phenomenal undertaking. This is 1 less Doom Bolt that I have to worry about. Certainly another harassing fast cav unit that could easily get back into the fight. And who took him out? my unit of dogs. 40 points. So close combat with the main action. I think I rolled a 5 or 6 for impact hits. With all the rerolls and the low toughness, the Mortis engine does a tremendous amount of wounds. He focuses as many attacks as he could on the zombies. I think he threw a couple of attacks also into the Mortis engine, but he either didn't wound or I regen them. And he does a bunch of wounds to the zombies, which was smart to try and even out the static combat res. But I outkill the Witch Elves, and it's mainly just because of the positioning. So he's down to Snake Eyes. He was down, I think I had 7 or 8 more than him in terms of combat resolution. He's on Snake Eyes. He breaks. He gets away. I'm well behind him. And we go to turn 4 for Dark Elves. And the bad luck just continues to happen. He fails to rally with the Witch Elves. So they further flee. And his Warlocks wipe out the last 3 remaining Archers. And that's the end of his turn, so he doesn't have much else left, and we go to turn 4 for the Undead Legions, and of course I'm going to charge with everything I've got. So I first start off with the Spirit Host, because I get Swift Stride with the Mortis Engine, and so that further makes him flee. And then the follow-up flee for the Mortis Engine sends him careening right off the board. We're still within range, and that's the game. We call it right there. It was definitely an interesting game. It was a fun game. I think that this is a tough army list for this size of a game, going up against 2 units of Warlocks, a unit of Executioners, and a huge unit of Witch Elves. I think it was just a matter. I think the real game changer here was when I wanted to charge, even the long bomb charges, I got those rolls very clutch. But I think the biggest thing that worked out here, if I had to point out 2 things, it would definitely be one being the Crypt Horrors getting in on the Executioners and taking out his level 4 early. But I think the biggest thing that happened that had an impact on this game was that Cairn Wraith redirecting the Witch Elves, so they couldn't follow up and have any impact on that fight, or in delaying them in getting in on my main bunker with my casters. That was the big deal that I think that actually helped change this game. Yeah, I did some good rolls when it came to charges, but getting that Cairn Wraith out of there, a 60-point character, it's ethereal, chaffing him up like that just at the right point probably is what prevented that Witch Elf unit from just walking through the rest of my army and really ending my day early, because it could. He has got way too many attacks, impact hits from the Cauldron. I got lucky on a couple of these rolls. Otherwise, this game would have gone a whole lot differently. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you, if you're new to the channel, please feel free to like if this is something you enjoy, comment if you have any input, and if you're interested in seeing more of my content, please feel free to subscribe. Have a great day, everybody.